Grant Holloway stood still. I remember thinking, he didn't look lost. He looked ready. Redgrave Street boiled around him. A teenage boy, red-faced, loud, stabbed a finger into his chest. "Get out of our street!" his mother screamed behind him. "You people don't belong here!" Grant didn't flinch, didn't speak, didn't blink. He just held the grocery bag and smiled. Software controlled. The kind of smile that makes your spine stiffen. A breeze caught the Redgrave sign behind him. The sun hit the lens on a rooftop camera. He looked up once, marked the time, and waited. Grant Holloway didn't keep the law out of fear. He kept it like a promise, one made at a gravesite and never once broken. He didn't move into Redgrave for the schools, or the view, or the silence. He came back for the house, the one his father built, nails by hand, porch by hand. Every plank laid before the war in his knees set in. 5 years gone now, but Grant still parked in the same spot, still used the same hooks by the back door, still walked the same route to pick up bread on Saturdays. He didn't tell the HOA who he was, didn't wear the badge, didn't need the stairs, let them think he was a neighbor with too much quiet in his walk and not enough community spirit. Let them forget the name Holloway. Let them forget who walked this street long before the new signs went up. The Redgrave marker used to be oak, faded but clean. His father carved it himself, burned the letters in with a welding rod. Last year, someone painted over it, some beautification initiative. Grant didn't protest. He just took down what was left, brought it home, laid it in the garage, dusted it once a week, waiting. In his grocery bag, under the bread and the eggs, a small brass keychain. Nothing flashy, just worn smooth by years of pockets. It was a badge once, before the cancer, before the funeral with no salute. Grant kept it beside the toaster, left it next to the coffee every morning. He never touched it in front of anyone, but today, it was in his pocket. And when that boy jabbed a finger in his chest, Grant's hand tightened just slightly around the bag. Not in anger, not in fear. He wasn't planning to shout. He was counting how many laws just got broken in front of a camera on his street under his name. That morning, the sign went up. New HOA regulation, no unregistered vendors. Bold red letters on bright white, taped right to Grant's front gate. No knock, no warning. Just a woman in yellow, blonde, clipped steps, clipboard in hand. She pressed the tape down slowly, looked up at the security camera above the porch, and nodded. That nod wasn't random. It was the kind of nod people give when they think the game just turned in their favor, like she was staking a flag. Like this house, his house, wasn't part of the map anymore. Grant didn't come to the door. He was already outside, standing 10 feet away, grocery bag still in hand. He didn't speak, didn't even glance at her. He just reached over, peeled the paper off, folded it once, read it slowly, each line, then looked at the bottom. There was no seal, no board vote, no public notice. Just a name, Celeste Warden, interim HOA chair. He looked up again, but not at her. At the blinking red light on the security cam across the street, the one nobody bothered to disable. Behind her, across the street, a police cruiser sat parked, windows up, engine idle. Inside, Officer Ruiz, young, observant. She narrowed her eyes, made no move, just watched. Grant caught the look, filed it away. He bent down, slipped the folded notice into his bag next to the keychain, then stepped back. The paper had been taped just low enough to cover part of the old wooden sign. Redgrave, founded by G.H. The initials his father carved 50 years ago, now cut in half, like history being painted over, 1 inch at a time. Across the street, Mr. Colburn paused mid-walk. He saw the sign, looked at Grant, then at the woman. Opened his mouth, but one look from her shut it again. The camera didn't catch her face, just her shadow, falling long across Grant's front gate. He stood there, still not speaking, but something behind his eyes had shifted. Not fury, not even surprise. Calculation. She thought she'd made the first move. She didn't realize she'd just stepped onto his board. Maybe you've seen it before, someone staking a claim where they had no right. Maybe you've stayed quiet too, just watching, wondering when enough is enough. If stories like this stay with you, you're not alone. Feel free to share your thoughts below, or stay for the next move. Grant didn't take the notice down, not that morning, not that week. Instead, he stepped out with a faded cloth in one hand, moved slow, deliberate, and stood in front of the old red grave sign. He didn't look at the paper, didn't touch it. Let it flap in the breeze, half covering the wooden marker. He focused on the dirt instead. The board was streaked with years of grime and rain, bits of chipped paint, moss along the edges. He dipped the cloth once in warm water, started wiping. One stroke at a time, the way someone cleans a gravestone, and underneath the layer of dried mud, a line appeared. In memory of Chief Howard G. Holloway. No one had seen that in years. No one even remembered it was there. But Grant did. He didn't glance at the camera this time. He could hear it clicking overhead, steady as breath. Timestamp, 7:14 a.m. Exactly 15 minutes before HOA office hours. Exactly the window where posting new regulation notices would count as unauthorized. He didn't need to protest, didn't need to shout. All he had to do was wait and document. He folded the cloth again. There was an old oil stain on one corner, from a rifle his father used to polish every Sunday. Same cloth, same motion. Across the sidewalk, Mrs. Elder from 14B slowed her dog, eyes locked on the name that was resurfacing. She opened her mouth, then closed it. The paper still hung above the sign, bright white, wrong seal, wrong timing, wrong authority, perfect. Behind Grant, his hand paused, cloth still pressed to wood. His wrist tightened, just slightly, not in anger, in memory. They thought they were writing him up. What they didn't know was that they'd just signed the first page of their own complaint file. He left the sign as it was, cleaned but not new. History showing through, sharp and quiet. By nightfall, 3 neighbors had walked past. 2 of them paused. 1 looked back twice. No words. But something had shifted. The kind of shift that doesn't move flags, just changes the wind. The room was bright. 14 board members, 2 pitchers of lemon water, no one ready for blood. Celeste Warden came in first, pressed, polished. HOA blazer, clipboard, voice raised before the door even closed. She didn't sit. This man is not a registered resident. He has no voting rights here. We need to vote on immediate action. Removal, formal citation. Her palm slammed the table. The room flinched. At the far end, Grant didn't move, didn't raise his voice, didn't even lift his head. He just slid a folder across the table, neatly, quietly, to the secretary. Her fingers hovered before touching it. A pause. Then, paper rustling. 1, 2, 3 pages. Joint property deed, she read. Dated April 1998, signed by Howard G. Holloway and Grant Holloway. Silence, pure, whole. 1 board member leaned back. Another lowered their pen. Celeste blinked, twice, then fake laughed. Anyone can forge that, but she stopped because the secretary was staring at her. And behind the secretary, the HOA records cabinet, locked, but not clean. There was no record, Celeste muttered. The secretary didn't respond. She turned to Grant. You're Howard's son? Grant looked up, met her eyes, and nodded. Just once. The man at the window, the one who hadn't spoken all year, took off his glasses. I remember that hat, he said. The old chief wore one just like it. More silence. Celeste shifted in her chair, papers trembling in her hands now. Someone whispered near the door. I thought Holloway didn't have kids. Grant heard it, turned slightly. Didn't correct them, didn't need to. He leaned forward. There's a signed delivery slip, 3 weeks ago, certified mail. The folder still had more pages. He tapped once, didn't open them, just left them there. The implication did the work. HOA had received the documents. They'd just buried them. And now, they'd have to explain why. Behind Celeste, 2 members glanced at each other. One folded their arms. The other checked their phone, probably Googling legal liability. Grant leaned back, not smug, not angry, just done waiting. He had waited long enough. The board hadn't realized they were sitting across from the co-owner of the land beneath their chairs, and now they knew. The counterstrike didn't need sound, only signatures. The community hall was packed, chairs filled, people standing in the back. Some had never shown up before, but today they came to watch. Celeste stood front and center, pressed suit, stiff smile. She held a printed screenshot like a trophy. "Here," she announced, voice sharp with pride. 4 weeks ago. Footage of this man trespassing, refusing leash laws, leaving trash behind. She clicked. The projector lit up. Grant appeared on screen, grocery bag in hand, a dog nearby. Calm, sitting. She pointed. Violation. Someone near the back muttered, "Here we go again." Grant didn't move, didn't rise. He just spoke, low even. "Play the next segment. Timestamp 1347. Click." The video jumped. Now, Celeste. Grabbing her son's wrist, marching toward Grant, her finger jabbing the air. In the distance, 2 police officers approaching, calm, watching, and then a voice, off camera, young, hesitant. "Mom, I think we got the wrong guy." Silence hit harder than any gavel. A few heads turned. One short laugh escaped. Another tried to cover their smile. Someone lowered their eyes, slow. Grant rose. "This clip," he said, "comes from the city's municipal surveillance system, forwarded directly to the office of the chief of police." He paused. "I'm that chief." You could feel the air leave the room. He stepped forward, slow, the screen still flickering behind him. "I held the footage, not because I couldn't act, but because I wanted every accusation to be made fully." He glanced at Celeste. "On record." Celeste opened her mouth, then closed it. Across the room, a gray-haired woman raised her phone, recording. Calm, steady. "We should keep this," she whispered. "People like him deserve to be seen." Grant didn't react, didn't need to. Behind him, the projector screen froze on one last frame. Celeste's finger pointed inches from his chest. The officers, 3 steps away. The sun, already pulling back. Not one word from Grant. Just the facts. Whole, uncut. Celeste had brought the weapon. Grant had just let it play out. And now the room had picked a side. Some battles don't need sound, just the right length of silence. Morning broke soft and gray. Grant stepped outside, one hand in his jacket pocket. The street was quiet now. He knelt beside the wooden post, held the old nameplate in his palm. W. Holloway, 1956. The paint was chipped, edges worn. He pressed it into place. 2 screws, silver and new. One slid in clean, the other resisted. The wood had rotted there, just enough to lean. He didn't force it, didn't fix it. He stood, looked at the crooked name, left it that way. A soft bark echoed behind the fence. Kids rolled by on bikes. None stopped. One turned, met his eyes, nodded. Once, kept riding. Across the street, a paper hung crooked on Celeste's door. Final notice, deadline stamped in red. Grant didn't glance that way. He walked inside, closed the door. The camera stayed still. No music, no applause, just the sound of the hinge, settling. Not everyone fights to win. Some just want no one to touch what they've guarded too long. Some things don't break. They just bend quietly. Like old wood, weathered, uneven, still holding the weight of a name, still standing where it was first placed. Grant never raised his voice. He didn't chase anyone out, didn't nail shut any doors. He simply restored what had been erased. A crooked sign, a quiet order, a truth that never needed to shout. People forget that justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just a silence that can't be ignored, a room that shifts, a face that changes, a nod from someone who used to look away. What he did wasn't about winning. It was about reminding people some homes were built with hands, not contracts. And some names shouldn't be buried under paint. In the end, no sirens, no applause, just one door, quietly closed, and a street that finally stayed still. Sometimes, the most powerful thing is not what you reclaim, but how calmly you do it. Because not everything worth keeping needs to be defended with noise. Some things endure just by standing still.